Welcome to today's Explainer. We are literally refereeing the ultimate heavyweight matchup of early 2026, OpenAI's GPT-5.2 versus Google's Gemini 3. We've hit a massive inflection point, you guys. We're moving way beyond simple chat into deep agentic reasoning and totally seamless ecosystem integration. So let's unpack this duopoly step by step. First, we'll look at the state of AI in 2026, then dive under the hood into the engines of intelligence. After that, we'll cover performance by domain, check out the new economics of AI, and finally, look at the path to AGI. All right, part one, state of AI in 2026, the macro view. We've got to start by looking at the broader economic reality surrounding these massive leaps forward. And Demis Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind, offers a pretty sobering reminder about this environment. He points out that while the tech is absolutely flying forward, the massive private market hype, it's largely a bubble. I mean, he notes that seeing seed rounds where startups with basically nothing are getting multi-billion-dollar valuations, it's just totally unsustainable. But, and this is key, Hassabis affirms that this bubble doesn't actually apply to Google. They're using what they call an engine room strategy. Their AI research directly powers existing cash-generating services like search, YouTube, and cloud, which basically lets them weather any potential market crash. Which brings us to what industry analysts are calling the winter of agents. This was a frantic few weeks where the entire AI landscape permanently shifted. So Google comes out swinging in November 2025 with Gemini 3, aiming right for the top. And honestly, it worked. Over the next 2 weeks, OpenAI saw a real drop in user engagement, like almost 6%. Their response? A literal internal code red. This forced OpenAI to hit the gas and accelerate the deployment of the GPT-5.2 series, dropping it in mid-December, just to reasset their dominance in professional knowledge work. Moving on to part two, the engines of intelligence, under the hood. This fierce competition is exactly what's fueling the very distinct tech philosophies driving these two models. The absolutely crucial point here is that both of these models have moved way beyond fast, intuitive guessing, what cognitive scientists call System 1 thinking. Now we are in the era of System 2 thinking. It's deliberate, it's analytical, and it's a real game changer. But here's the thing, they apply it very differently. When you use GPT 5.2's thinking mode, it doesn't just blurt out an answer. It kicks off a hidden chain of thought. It breaks your prompt down, plans a path, and literally critiques its own intermediate steps. This drops hallucinations by about 30% compared to older models. Now, Google has their version too, Gemini 3 DeepThink, which gets unbelievable results in math and physics, but it operates with a slightly different personality. And you can really see those divergent approaches clearly. OpenAI is all about strict, highly compressed, logical precision, whereas Google, they basically want you to dump mountains of raw data straight into its massive memory. Gemini 3 has a mind-blowing 1 million token context window. To put that into perspective, that's like 10 standard novels. A lawyer could upload an entire discovery file in one go. OpenAI, on the flip side, capped GPT 5.2 at a 128K window, but they use this loss-aware compression. Think of it as a super smart filtering system that ditches the fluff so it can retain the hardcore facts. Plus, user feedback highlights a really interesting behavioral difference. Gemini can occasionally be a bit of a sycophant, meaning it might politely just agree with you even if your premise is totally wrong. GPT 5.2? No way. It is rigid, authoritative, and it will flat out correct you to maintain its logical consistency. Now, if you're dealing with heavy multimedia, Google's native approach to video and audio gives it a huge sensory advantage. Gemini 3 was built from day one on a diverse diet of text, image, audio, and video. It scores an 87.6% on the Video MMU benchmark because it natively understands temporal relationships. You can literally ask it to find the exact timestamp where someone looked frustrated in a video. GPT 5.2, right now, usually samples video frame by frame, so it can totally miss those quick, fleeting visual nuances. Also, while OpenAI is cooking up new audio-first hardware models, today, Gemini is your absolute go-to for natively transcribing and analyzing high-fidelity corporate meetings. Okay, part 3, performance by domain, real-world use cases. So what does this actually mean for solving your daily professional problems? Well, if we're talking software engineering, you definitely want GPT 5.2 to autonomously debug your server codebase. I mean, it hit 80% on the SWE bench for resolving really complex coding issues, making super clean, production-ready code. But what about creative writing or daily planning? For that, Gemini 3 absolutely takes the crown. It offers this incredibly deep, native integration with your Google Workspace, Calendar, and Inbox, and it just has a much more human tone with fewer of those rigid nanny filters. Deep research, though, that's a split decision. Gemini wins if you need to ingest 50 academic papers all at once, but GPT 5.2 takes the win if you're trying to pull a highly complex novel insight out of a smaller dataset. The definitive comparison matrix from Ironcrest Software really hits the nail on the head. We are no longer looking for a single smartest model. Instead, it's all about finding the right specialized tool for your specific department's workflow. GPT 5.2 totally dominates complex reasoning and coding. Meanwhile, Gemini 3 sweeps the board on context capacity, multimodality, and personal productivity. It completely depends on what you need to achieve on any given day. Part 4. The New Economics of AI, the Tale of the Tape. This massive divergence in capabilities directly shapes their radically different business strategies. Get this, OpenAI is asking power users to pay a staggering $200 a month for the ChatGPT Pro tier. $200 just to access that unconstrained expert-level reasoning. They are laser-targeted at data scientists, software architects, and researchers who absolutely need that high-compute O1 Pro mode to crack complex mathematical proofs that standard models just choke on. It is essentially the commoditization of expert labor. On the flip side, Google is aggressively subsidizing Gemini Advanced at just about $20 a month, and that even comes bundled with 2 terabytes of cloud storage. Google is using this incredible mass market value bundle to lock everyday consumers into their ecosystem. For like 90% of people out there, Gemini just offers vastly more utility for your dollar. So what does this mean for businesses? Basically, Google is betting the house on seamless, frictionless integration for the average office worker, while OpenAI is planting its flag as the premium, standalone destination for specialized engineering tasks. Gemini is an ambient utility. If you use Google Workspace, Gemini is just there, in your docs, in your Gmail. It completely eliminates the toggle tax. You know that annoying cognitive drain of switching back and forth between different apps? ChatGPT, though, is a destination. You have to actively go to it. But if you're an R&D lab, a heavy engineering department, or a strict Microsoft 365 shop, having that neutral hub packed with industry-leading reasoning is just absolutely indispensable. Finally, Part 5, the path to AGI. Where exactly is this heavyweight battle taking us in the long run? Well, despite the mind-blowing leaps we've talked about today, industry leaders are cautioning that true artificial general intelligence still needs some massive fundamental breakthroughs. We can't just keep scaling up current tech. Demis Hassabis actually notes that we're starting to see diminishing returns on pure scaling. That doesn't mean progress has stopped, but just throwing more compute to make models bigger isn't enough anymore. He mentions that researchers are now deeply focused on world models. These are systems that can actually simulate and understand interactive physical environments. That's the next major frontier we need to cross for true AGI. So, is the goal an omnipresent chief of staff or a brilliant consultant? At the end of the day, your choice between these platforms comes down to what you actually want AI to be in your daily life. Google is striving for omniscience. They're building an AI that sees and hears everything in your digital workspace so it can proactively manage your life. OpenAI is hyper-focused on deep, absolutely infallible reasoning at scale. Google is commoditizing a highly capable assistant that lives everywhere in your digital world, while OpenAI is building a premium, highly specialized expert. And really, this is the defining trend of 2026, the premiumization of expert reasoning versus the commoditization of general intelligence. Which path will define the future of your workflow? Are you willing to pay a massive premium for absolute certainty, or do you want an omnipresent intelligence seamlessly woven right into the fabric of your life? That wraps up our explainer of today's sources. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we will see you next time.